Hi, dear students. We are studying the fundamentals of vectors, which forms the foundation of one of the tools in mathematics, which we are going to employ during the study of physics. Today we are going to see how the directions of the vector are represented. Rather, I would say that in terms of north, south, east, west directions. So let me say here a representation of vector in, say, north, east, west, south direction system. So thus, on my board or on my paper, I would be representing north like this, south, east and west. This will be perpendicularly outward to the plane of the board, and the direction going into, I will be calling that perpendicularly going into the plane of the board. So 6 directions we can have. So let me suppose that I have a vector this way, and I say this vector makes an angle of 30 degree here, and say this is vector A. So then how would I represent this vector? I would say that vector A is pointing along 30 degree, vector A at 30 degree, in which direction? North, from the east. So I would say 30 degree north of east. So what do I mean? With respect to east direction, 30 degree northwards if I say, then I would be properly locating my vector. Let us see another vector. Say this is north for me, south, east and west. This time say I have a vector like this, and this be B, vector B, and here say this is some 40 degree. So this time how would we say that vector B is directed along, see I would say that B at 40 degree in which wards? Westwards. So 40 degree west of south. So this is the way how we are going to represent. Rather, another student would say that, sir, this total angle is 90 degree. So if this is 40, then this would be 50. So he would claim, shall I say like this, vector B at 50 degree south of west, 50 degree south of west. Is it? Of course, both ways of representing this vector are correct. We can also say vector B is directed 40 degree west of south, otherwise say vector B is directed at 50 degree south of west. Both are right. I said representation of vector in north, east, west, say north, south, east and west. 2 more directions we have: perpendicularly out of the plane of the board and perpendicularly into the plane of the board. Now if a vector is pointing along the direction out perpendicular to the plane of the board, then that vector would be represented by putting a dot on the board. So this vector would represent that my vector is pointing perpendicularly out of the plane of the board. I can also have a vector which is pointing right perpendicularly into the plane of the board. So when my vector is pointing into the plane of the board, then I would represent like this. So this symbol would tell me that the direction of the vector is pointing perpendicularly into the plane of the board. However, this would represent that the vector is pointing normally out of the plane of the board. It is usually said that this dot within the circle, this cross within the circle, these two represent an arrow. what it is said? It said that if an arrow is coming towards you, you can see the pointed tip of an arrow. So it is said that this point represents tip of the vector. If the vector is moving perpendicularly outward from you, then you can see at the back of the arrow, and back of the arrow is visualized using a cross. So with that story, we relate that the vector pointing normally outward is represented by a point, and going perpendicularly into the plane of the board is represented by a cross. Now let's see how can we add two vector quantities. The first and foremost point that we must keep in mind is, when we add two vector quantities in physics, then both the vector quantities must be of same nature. What I mean? I mean that force is a vector quantity, so I can add force with force. Velocity is a vector quantity, so I can add velocity with a velocity. I cannot add force with a velocity. That means two vector quantities of same nature can be added. When I add force with force, then the result I am going to get will also be a force. So two same nature of physical quantities can be added to get the same nature of physical quantity. So we are going to see the rules of addition of two vectors. So addition of two vectors. Let me say I have two vectors like this. Say this is one vector, this is A. Another vector is, say, like this is vector B. And let us assume that the nature of the two vectors are same. Now, to add these two vectors, the first rule is that two vectors can be added. How? We must make the tail of one vector to coincide with the tip of another vector. This is the first rule. So when I need to coincide the tail of a vector with the head of the other vector, I have the freedom to shift one vector in a parallel manner to any position. So let me shift this vector over this way. So when I shift vector B, so I say this is my vector B. Say this is vector B. So the first rule is obeyed. What? The tip of vector A coincides with the tip of the tip of vector A coincides with the tail of B. Now when I see the direction of A and B, I see that the flow goes this way. So I say this is the order of the direction of A and B. Now the resultant vector would be, I am rubbing out this one because I have the same vector B, I have shifted parallel. Now to find the resultant, I'll take the tail of vector A and the head of vector B, and I'm going to join these two. We already studied that the length of a vector represents the magnitude of vector A. Here this length would represent the magnitude of vector B. Now these two sides form the two sides of a triangle. This line that I have drawn connecting the tail and head of the two vectors A and B, this length would represent the magnitude of the resultant vector. In that case, let me say the resultant vector is R. So when I say addition of these two vectors results into a resultant vector of R, then this R should have direction. Magnitude is this length. Direction must be taken in the opposite order to that of the order of vector A and B. In that situation, see please, this is the flow of the direction. Then for this, if I want the opposite order of direction, then this will be the direction of the resultant vector. This will be the direction of the resultant vector. Now, this is the way how geometrically we add the two vectors. But if I want to add the two vectors analytically, I want the formula to add the two vectors such that I would be able to calculate the magnitude of the resultant vector as well as the direction of the resultant vector. So let us work out the analytical method. So to do so, let me suppose now that vector A and B have the angle theta between them. So already we have studied how to find the angle. To find the angle, I said that the either tips of the two vectors must coincide, otherwise heads of the two vectors must coincide. So if I visualize this picture, let me say that I am shifting this vector A over here to this point. That means the tail of A will coincide with the tail of B, then this would be the angle between them. So let me assume that the angle between A and B is theta. Right? Now to find the analytical formula, so let me say drop one perpendicular line like this onto this line. So this is perpendicular. Now this is vector A. Now I am not interested in direction first. So if I am not interested in direction, I am interested only in magnitude. So let me say that this is the magnitude of A. Let me say this is the magnitude of B. And let us say that this is the magnitude of R. And let me extend this line to drop a perpendicular over here, and I assume that this is angle theta. When I say this is magnitude, so this is B, this is A, this is R. Rather, we also represent like this. Like this. If that is the case, then I want to split this vector into two components or two rectangular components, say. So if this is B, we know that this will form B cos theta. So B cos theta will give me the length of this component, and this would form this height. I'll get this is B sin theta. Right? What I am interested in? I am interested in calculating the magnitude of this resultant vector. Now when I look at this diagram, see from here to here and here, this forms a right angle triangle. Now I can use the Pythagoras theorem expression formula. So using Pythagoras theorem, what I would say is that the square of the hypotenuse side, so for me this is the way, square of the magnitude of this side will be equal to the sum of the squares of this side as well as this side. So this side is nothing but magnitude of A plus B cos theta. So let me put this way, A plus B cos theta whole square. So this is the square of this side plus square of this side will give me magnitude of B sin theta the whole square. If this is the case, I can write this. I am going to write now magnitude like this. So R square, this is equal to A plus B cos theta whole square. I am going to open or split this one. So I would get A square plus B square cos square theta plus 2 times AB cos theta. So plus 2 times AB cos theta plus this one, if I open, I am going to get B square plus B square into sin square theta. Now rewriting this expression, R square is equal to A square I have. If I look at this term and this term, I'll take B square common and I'm going to have cos square theta plus sin square theta plus 2AB cos theta. If this is the case, we know that this is 1, otherwise R square is equal to A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. Hence, the magnitude R will be equal to root under A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. So thus I have got the expression for calculating the magnitude of the resultant vector. So to calculate the magnitude of the resultant vector, I should know what is the magnitude of A. I must know what is the magnitude of B. Along with, I must also know what is the angle between the two vectors A and B. If I know these three things, I can calculate the magnitude of the resultant vector using this expression. We can see for some special cases using this expression. Let me suppose that the two vectors I have, say this is vector A and the second vector is like this B. So this time I see that A and B both are lying along the same line, or they are collinear. In that case, the angle between them is 0. Angle made by them is 0. And I know that when theta is 0, then cos 0 happens to be 1. Cos 0 happens to be 1. In that case, if I put cos 0 1, I am going to have r is equal to under root of a square plus b square plus 2ab. So I am going to have r is equal to this way, a square plus b square plus 2ab, because cos 0 is 1. Now if I see this one, I can write this as a plus b whole square. Or I would say that r is equal to c square, I can remove the root, so a plus b. The wonderful expression we have got in special case. What? When two vectors are lying along the same line, then the resultant of the sum of the two vectors is going to have a magnitude of r is equal to a plus b. If I look for second special case, let me suppose that one vector is lying like this and the second vector is lying like this. Say this is vector A for me and this is vector B for me. So then vector A is directed in this way, B is directed in this way, both are collinear but antiparallel. If they are antiparallel, we know that the angle made by the two vectors will be equal to 180 degree. So if angle made by them is 180 degree, we know that cos of 180 happens to be minus 1. So now when I want to add these two vectors and I want to find what is the magnitude of the resultant vector, in that case I will be using this formula. For cos theta I am going to substitute cos 180, and cos 180 is equal to minus 1. In that case my r is going to be root under a square plus b square plus 2ab, and cos 180 is minus 1, which in turn is going to be a square plus b square minus 2ab. R is equal to a minus b whole square, otherwise r is going to be a minus b. So this I got. So that means when two vectors are lying antiparallel to one another, then the magnitude of the resultant will be equal to the difference of the magnitude of the two vectors. This is the first point. Second point, the direction of the resultant vector will always be pointing along the vector that has larger magnitude. Now if I see on the board vector A and B, I can see that the length of vector A is more in comparison to the length of vector B, which suggests that the magnitude of A is greater. So the resultant vector will have the direction of A, and the magnitude is going to be the difference of the magnitudes of the two. As such, now let us see the concept. I have two vectors here. In this case I have two vectors A and B. To find the magnitude of the resultant vector, you had this formula. The same two vectors, if they are lying along the same direction, the resultant happens to be A plus B. If the same vector is lying in opposite direction, then the resultant is R is equal to A minus B. Now if I look at this concept carefully, one thing I could notice that when I have two vectors like this, A and B is a vector, then the resultant of the sum of the two vectors, the resultant of the sum of the two vectors is maximum. R is equal to A plus B. Now, gradually when I rotate this vector like this, the same vector B, let me say that I am going to rotate. So the angle is increasing. The angle is increasing. So the magnitude, when I talk about, this will be the magnitude. Second, see, this is magnitude. This is the sum of the magnitudes. So I see that the length of the magnitude goes on decreasing. I can also have like this vector. So see, the magnitude decreases further. And if I have this length, then the magnitude further decreases. And if I have the same vector pointing along this direction, then the amplitude is very small, and the amplitude happens to be A minus B. R is equal to A minus B. This is what it says. So that means the sum of the two vectors can have a resultant magnitude which can have a maximum of A plus B. Which can have a maximum of A plus B. At the same time, the sum can be less than A plus B also, depending upon the angle made by the two vectors. So maximum can be A plus B, otherwise the magnitude of the resultant can be less than A plus B. So I would say that the magnitude of the resultant of the two vectors can be either less than A plus B, otherwise it can be equal to A plus B. So as I see, this A plus B decreases, and it gets the minimum value, this one. So minimum value can be equal to A minus B, or otherwise the resultant of the magnitude of the resultant can be greater than A minus B. So I would say that it can be like this. That means the sum of the two vectors can have a magnitude in the range of A minus B to A plus B, anything, depending upon the angle between the two vectors A and B. So this concept we need to keep in mind. So the magnitude of R, resultant vector, can be equal to A minus B or can be greater than A minus B, and it can extend up to a maximum of A plus B. This is what the interpretation that we can make out of this one. And this is where the algebraic operations on vector differs in respect of the scalar addition. In scalar addition, let me suppose that 3 plus 4 will always be 7. Whereas if you have vector A that has a magnitude of 3, let me suppose, and B that has a magnitude of 4, that means the resultant is going to have a magnitude of 7 less than equal to, or it will have 3, 4, so you are going to have 1. So the magnitude of the resultant is going to lie in between 1 and 7, depending upon the angle made by the two vectors. Now we saw the aspect of finding the magnitude of the resultant vector analytically, right? We said vector A that has a magnitude of A, this was vector B that had magnitude B, and a resultant vector we had like this, which had a magnitude of R. I am talking about only magnitude. And we said the angle between the two vectors A and B was 30 degree. I dropped one perpendicular here, and I said this part or component was B cos theta and this was B sin theta. Right? Now, okay, the magnitude part we said we can calculate analytically using this formula: A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. But the resultant is a vector. I have handled how to calculate magnitude, but the next is I want to talk about the direction of the resultant vector. Now, to find the direction of the resultant vector, let me say that this resultant vector R makes an angle alpha with the vector A, one of the vector A. In that case, I can say that the resultant vector is making alpha with the vector A. If I say, then I can find the direction of the resultant vector. Now how this alpha can be calculated? Now on inspection you see this is a right angle triangle. Now if I write tan alpha, then we know that tan alpha is equal to, in a right angle triangle, this will be opposite side by base. So opposite side is for me b sine theta over base. When I say length of this complete one, so I will be having a plus b cos theta. So this is a plus b cos theta. Else, to find what is alpha, I can say that alpha is equal to tan inverse of b sine theta over a plus b cos theta. So this way I can find the direction of the resultant vector r. Now question is, sir, alpha is the angle made by the resultant vector with A. Why shouldn't we calculate or say that this resultant is making an angle of beta with B? Is it possible? Of course it is also possible. How it is possible? Let's see. So we have found the formula for calculating the angle alpha that the resultant vector makes with the vector A. I said I can also express the direction of the resultant vector with respect to vector B in terms of angle beta. So how to calculate beta if you ask? Now you see, previously I extended this vector by a dashed line here forward. I am going to now extend a line backward like this. In that case, if this is theta, you know that this is theta. If this is theta, I am going to drop a perpendicular from here like this. Here I drop perpendicular. Similarly, I am going to drop a perpendicular on this one. So if I drop, see, I resolved this one b into two components. This was b cos theta, this was b sin theta. I am going to resolve now this magnitude A into two component, one this one. So this component is making angle theta with this one. So the component that made angle theta with the original vector, it was a cosine component. So here this will be cosine component. So let this be A cos theta. Similarly, this will be A sin theta. Now, to define the resultant vector direction in terms of vector B, I am going to consider this right angle triangle, this one, this right angle triangle. In that case, tan beta is going to be opposite side by base. So in that case, from the diagram, I see that tan beta will be equal to, opposite side is for me A sin theta. So I have A sin theta over, this is going to be A cos theta plus B. So we can write in terms of beta like this, beta is equal to tan inverse of A sin theta over A cos theta plus B. So this will give me the direction of the resultant vector in terms of beta with respect to vector B. So either way we can calculate alpha or beta. Now if I carefully look at these two formula, see please, what I get is tan inverse of, see now alpha, you said this is the angle made by the vector A, angle made by the resultant with respect to vector A. So in the numerator I see that the other vector's sine component over A plus the other vector's cosine component. Similarly, if I see here tan beta or beta, you see beta is equal to tan inverse of, in the numerator beta is the angle made by the resultant vector with B. So the other vector is A. So A, see please, the A sine component of A sine component over A cos theta plus B. What I would like to say is that to write the angle In the numerator, I am going to have the sign component, but sign component of which vector? The vector that is free of alpha, b, here, b. In terms of beta, if I see, then this vector is free because the angle made between is r and b, so this is free. So this sign component of this one over a cosine component of a plus b. So this is the way how we calculate the direction of the resultant vector. So dear students, today we saw how to add two vectors analytically, pictorially how to add, we saw the conditions also. In the next class, we shall try to see some of the properties of addition of two vectors and we shall try to solve some other problems. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.